Well, it took 9/11 for most Americans to learn that al-Qaida means the base in English. And now, after a gun and grenade attack on a busy shopping mall in Nairobi, we're learning that al-Shabaab is Arabic for the youth. And since they've claimed responsibility for murdering at least 62, we obviously have a lot more to learn about this group of Somalian militants, how they're influenced by al-Qaida, and how they recruit soldiers from Maine to Minnesota. Kenyan police claim they killed 3 terrorists and injured more in the siege, so we should get more information in coming days. But here's ABC's Lindsay Davis from Nairobi with the very latest on the terror attack.
More than 48 hours after the standoff began, once again intense gunfire and loud explosions filled the air this afternoon just outside the Westgate Mall in Nairobi. And as journalists and crowds of onlookers sprinted for cover, police closed in on the attackers, reportedly gaining access to the building through the roof. I am crouched down, kind of ducking for cover. I'm not sure if you can hear it, but we are hearing some heavy gunfire, some screams just now. Just if you look over this building right here in the direction of the mall, you can see the dark, billowing smoke in the midst of these periods of intermittent gunfire. The mall is a 300,000 square foot upscale family oasis, as big as many American malls, with 80 stores, a movie theater, supermarket, and food court. We learned today that 10 individuals have been arrested so far for questioning in the massacre, some of them reportedly detained and interrogated at the airport. And while authorities now believe all of the hostages are finally out, the magnitude of the tragedy is still sinking in. At least 62 people have been killed, 175 wounded. The list of the dead reflects the indiscriminate murder spree, the nephew of Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta.
My nephew and his fiancée were amongst those who died in this attack.
The renowned poet from Ghana, Kofi Awuner, a Dutch malaria specialist, 8.5 months pregnant, and her fiancé. It all started around noon this past Saturday. 2 groups of gunmen dressed in all black stormed the mall entrance, throwing grenades and opening fire with automatic weapons that sent shoppers and employees running for their lives.
It was no consistent shooting. They were shooting, I think, on target, because it was pa, 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 5 times. Then there's a silence for 10 minutes. Then people are waking up. Then you continue hearing shootings.
Do you mind just showing us your injuries here?
Near the main entrance, Arnold Mwagacho was working at a gourmet burger bar when the shooting began.
I took the blood that I was covered with, I rubbed it on my face so that when they came there, they see like I'm dead.
American Nick Handler was separated from his pregnant wife, who was shopping upstairs when the shooting began. He rushed to find an exit, carrying his daughter Julia in his arms.
All of a sudden just heard a loud explosion, followed by a few gunshots, and I just immediately grabbed her and luckily it was right by the door, so I was able to sprint out.
The standoff between the gunmen and the Kenyan forces continued throughout the weekend and well into Monday. Photos and video from inside the mall show the chaotic scene, with many people scrambling through shop aisles or hiding in place as Kenyan police tried to guide civilians to safety, all the while repelling the attackers. As the gunmen fanned throughout the mall, Kenyan special forces stormed the complex, evacuating more than 1,000 panicked shoppers and employees, some with their hands in the air. The wounded were carried to safety, even wheeled out in shopping carts. It wouldn't be long before Kenya's government was calling the attack an act of terrorism, the al-Qaida-linked extremist group al-Shabaab taking responsibility. In less than a decade, this group has gone from a local guerrilla group in Somalia to one of al-Qaeda's strongest affiliates.
And I believe that we underestimated their capabilities, even though they were successful in conducting terrorist attacks outside Somalia.
The group claims the attack was retaliation for the involvement of Kenyan forces in anti-terror operations in Somalia. 2 years ago, Kenyan troops joined the African Union's multinational forces in chasing al-Shabaab from power in Somalia. And in response, the group has increasingly set its sights on soft targets like the Westgate Mall. And al-Shabaab's been among the most effective terror groups in attracting Americans to their cause, often those of Somali descent.
What we see today in Somalia, it can be easily copied by people inside the United States.
U.S. officials estimate that as many as 50 Americans have been recruited to al-Shabaab over the last 6 years, with more than half traced back to Minnesota's growing Somali community. Just last month, al-Shabaab posted this recruiting video online with 3 young men from Minneapolis who had said died as martyrs.
If you guys only knew how much fun we have over here, this is the real Disneyland.
One of al-Shabaab's most visible rebels, 29-year-old Omar Hamami from Alabama.
Our main objective, one of the things that we seek for in this life of ours, is to die as a martyr.
Hamami became known as the rapping jihadist.
It all started out in Afghanistan.
Recording several online propaganda videos glamorizing terror.
Muslim pride, Islam is on the rise.
And rhyming about what he saw as the holy war against the West.
Blow by blow, crime by crime, only gonna add to my avenging rhymes. Invasion by invasion, attack by attack, only gonna bring sweet honor back.
But just a few weeks ago, Hamami was reportedly gunned down in southern Somalia after falling out of favor with al-Shabaab's leadership. Hamami grew up in the small town of Daphne, Alabama, the son of a Baptist school teacher and a Syrian father. He was just like any other American kid. School pageants, sports teams, prom dates. He spent time in Toronto's Somali community, where he's believed to have adopted a radical ideology that eventually led him to Somalia and to take up arms with al-Shabaab, where he rose quickly to a leadership position, recruiting other American men and vowing to hit U.S. targets.
If you think about individuals who went and fought in a place like Somalia, and when they come back home, there is nothing good that can come out of this.
So I just told God, if I was gonna die today, help me so that I'll get to heaven. So just lay there. At that moment I didn't want to move or do anything. I was just waiting to die.
Tonight at the mall, you can still smell the smoke in the air. And while officials say the fire has been contained, the search for answers continues. For Nightline, I'm Lindsay Davis in Nairobi.